got a chance to see the new horror movie by Shudder, Dangerous Animals. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm your host, Frank Zanka. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about Dangerous Animals, just released this past week alongside Ballerina. Neither film is doing very well. Before we do, remember, give me that like, give me that thumbs up if you can. And if you can, subscribe, please do. Share this video out there. And remember, too, that I am a writer myself. And you'd like to read anything that I've written, you can go to Amazon.com and just type my name in. Or you can click the link in the description below, including my 4-novel series, Destiny Aurora. It's a sci-fi. It's also on Audible and on Kindle, as well as it was made into a board game. It was made into a graphic novel, etc. It's also my fantasy novel, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. And I have a new comic releasing right now on Kickstarter. The pre-launch page is up, so if you'd like to get notified. It's called Fairy Tales of Terror. It's a horror book based on the fairy tales, including a murderous Cinderella and being tracked by Tiger Lily. It's going to be amazing. You can either click the QR code here, or there's a link in the description below. All right, so let's jump into this new horror movie. This is the second Shudder movie I've seen in the theater. The other one was the Isaac Gonzalez one that was in space, and I don't think that movie did very well either, but they might be just making these just for Shudder and then saying, yeah, we'll go and release them to the theater as well, and this way they got a theatrical release no matter if it makes money or not. However, the production design on this film is extremely good. I can't tell that this is, made, purely for video. And as far as I could find, the production budget was about $10 million. It was shot in the Gold Coast, I believe, in Australia. It did take me a minute to say, because the guy was getting on the side of the car, and I'm like, is he going to drive her car? And then I realized that the steering wheel was on the opposite side. So this is the movie about Jai Courtney. Jai Courtney is the kind of actor that is really hit or miss, and it's a lot of miss. Where he tries to play the hero, it just never comes off right. When he has to play the little scummy villain, I think he does a way, way better job. So he has to carry this film, because if you do not hate him as the villain, this film does not work. And I got to say that he did pull it off. So he's just an actor that is better off being hated by the audience than being rooted for. Like when he played John Connor, that did not work in Terminator. Of course, he also played Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad, and he was decent there, but he was also a background actor. This is a full frontal type of I'm the lead, and he definitely is the lead in this. He's the only name in the entire cast, and that's if you're calling Jai Courtney a name to begin with. His name does not carry a film, as we're seeing. I don't know how much marketing this film has really gotten. It's only raised $1.4 million in the theater. So if this thing actually even gets to $5 million, I'm going to be shocked. But I don't think it's released internationally yet. And there are a bunch of shark fans that'll probably see this just for the shark side of things. There are a bunch of sharks in here, so if you're a fan of Shark Week, you're going to have a lot of fun with this one. And they definitely don't shy away from it in the least. So there is that. And I think they should just market it as a shark movie. Because there aren't many shark movies out there. Deep Blue Sea, I can't even call that a shark movie. But there was a handful. I think there was one with Samuel L. Jackson and stuff like that outside of the Jaws franchise. But this leans into the captured people, because that's what Jai Courtney is. He's got a boat. He captures girls. He puts them, in that he locks them up on the boat. So it's like a little bit like Split, and except that he doesn't have a split personality, but he is pretty psychotic. So I would, could they maybe this is Split on a boat. I think that kind of matches. But anyway, they locked them up on thing, and then he at night he has this old VHS camera, and he films them as he chums the water and lowers them in to be eaten. So that is the basic storyline of the film, and that, of course, you can just see on the trailer. And it gets going pretty quickly because we have this couple that starts out that's also in the trailer. That's basically the beginning of the film, and they actually get lowered down in a cage to begin with, which is what his job is. That's what he gets paid from tourists to do that, and the tourists just never come back. I don't know how they give him a Yelp review if they never come back. But anyway, I thought the movie was very enjoyable. It definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat at a time. And, the final girl is likable. I would think likable for this, and it also, for the females, it also develops a romantic relationship. So it's the main final girl is Hassey Harrison. It's got a very, very, very small cast. Very small cast. So you have Zephyr, which is played by Hassey Harrison, who I've never heard of before. She was in some kind of fire department TV show where she did 48 episodes. Arizona to Tucson, I think it is Tucson Fire Department, FD, something to that effect. And then she was in 18 episodes of Yellowstone, which I still have not seen Yellowstone yet. I'm going to have to break down and actually watch that show. But anyway, I think she's very good in this. I think she pulls off the final girl very, very well. And like I said, she was likable. But it starts out with her. She lives out of her van, and she's American in Australia, and she's a surfer. And she basically came to surf, but she was also an orphan, which we really don't get into too much. And she basically got traded to these bunch of families, foster families, year after year after year. So she had a whole bunch. She just really wanted to get away. So she has no money, and she just kind of went to Australia to surf. And I don't even know what she does for a living, but she lives out of her van, so she probably doesn't have too much overhead. And it's a beat up van at that. But anyway, she has a random encounter with a guy named Moses, and I didn't even know his name for the majority of the film until she was screaming it at the end. But his name is Josh Houston. I've seen nothing that he's done some TV stuff, but I haven't seen anything he's done. But I haven't seen anything that Hassey's done either. And but he played one of the Zeus's guys in Thor: Love and Thunder. And then you have the two other people from the beginning, the other couple, Ellen Newton, who played Heather, and then you have her boyfriend. They weren't really boyfriend. They kind of hooked up, I guess, because he did say that they overslept. And his name was Greg. And so you have those 4 or 5 people right there. Then you have the guy that is like on the boat that's neighboring his boat. And he has, a sizable part for the most part. But that's it. Those 6 people is the majority of the entire cast. Everybody else is like day player. So so the cast is extremely small, and it must have been a very hard shoot. I mean, it was only a $10 million movie, but because none of the cast made anything, so it was all on the screen for the most part. I don't know what the Shudder executives take off the top there, and I don't know what the financing fee was, because you also have IFC behind it as far as distribution's concerned, as well as Shudder. I know that Shudder has a deal with AMC by itself too, and in fact, I guess AMC is like the biggest thing open, because even they had an intro with Megan, and Megan says, "Hi, AMC," you know. So, I guess AMC is the only thing left. So people are, kind of flocking to that as far as marketing is concerned. But anyway, you had like three other companies when you look at the logos in the beginning. So they have three or four other companies that really helped with the financing with this movie. So again, I don't know what the cuts were on all that, but they may have paid out like $2 million just in marketing. And I don't know what the Australia has as far as rebates are concerned. I have no idea. But they may have been able to get a couple of $1 million back if there is a rebate in Australia. So, give or take. But it must have been a hard shoot because there is some stuff that's in the van and everything like that that's pretty easy to shoot. But they had a lot of stuff on the boat. And then, where they're locked up. Also, I don't know if they built that. It is a lot of scenes that take place in there. And if that was me, I would have probably built that on a stage. Just so because there's a lot of, they have the camera behind her and the bed's supposed to be against the wall. So they would have had to sheet that a lot. And the only way to do that is if you break off that wall. But you could have definitely, there's no windows or anything else. You definitely could have faked that. And then there's another scene where he does a lot of his stuff, which is in like this diner. He is a diner type of seating in the boat where he eats and, he has his VHS tapes and stuff like that. Like he watches them, but we don't even see what he's watching at part of that because it's a surprise later. His head covers the screen, which I thought was interesting. Now, this director, if he got a $10 million gig out of this, this is his first one. His name is Sean Byrne. He wrote and directed two other movies prior to that. The Devil's Candy, I've never heard of. It has a decent low-budget cast. And then he did another one called A Family Lover, whatever it was called. And I saw that one in 2009. And the rest of the stuff he did prior to that is all shorts. So he's only done two movies prior to this, the loved ones. Which it's very, very low budget film. Very low budget. Basically about a birthday party where the party girl kills everyone. And as far as the writer's concerned, Nick Lepard, this is his first gig. This is his first film. So you don't have a whole lot of back credits for these. So it was definitely a chance that they took because Jai Courtney can't really carry a film on his own, although he did very well. The writer and the director are basically green. So, good for them to keeping, people working and giving people chances. I love that. And I thought that all parties involved did a really good job. And I'm sorry that this film is not getting the press it really deserves. Even if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's at 80%, and I think it's like 70-something% for the audience score. And they show sharks throughout. In fact, there's this one scene where she's underwater and the shark is coming toward her, and I thought that shot was beautiful. And so no shade on any of the production team. All the underwater shots. That's why I'm saying it had to be a hard shoot because they probably spent a week in the water, and that is never easy, man. Never easy. Where do you have base camp? You have another boat, So where are you having hair, makeup, and wardrobe? I mean, where are you putting these things? And you have this nice little overhead shot. There's also a scene with a helicopter. So they really, really made and they probably asked Australia, the government, to help them out with a couple of things that they needed. So, and they probably were obliged. Like the helicopter, they probably, got pretty cheap and stuff like that. People just wanted to help out the film. But still, and then they had to raise the people up and then put them into the water, which means the actors were in the water for quite a bit of time. probably half a day just to get these, few shots. So, good on them. That's why I'm not writing any films that take place in the water. I don't want to shoot that shit. The most it is on the beach. And even that's tough. Having everybody out there in the middle of the sun like that. That's why I love sci-fi. I can just get into a sound stage and stay there. That's why some of these winter ones, eek. Like even Ballerina, that whole city that they had in Prague or whatever else, oof, it had to be cold, man. But but I'm sorry that this is not gaining at least. It should have gotten at least 10 mil. It should have made at least $5, $6, $7, $8 million this past weekend. I don't know why it's not. Again, it's horror plus sharks. I don't know. I hope it does though, because I think Jai Courtney does a really good job, and I think Hassie does a good job as well. Along with the guy who plays Moses, I thought he did a good job too. So anyway, that's it for me. I do recommend the film. I'm gonna give it probably a 7.5. It's way above average, especially for a horror film. Go see it. Go support it if you can, or if you don't mind horror films. There is a little bit of gore here. There is a little bit of gore, but for the most part, it's like a psychological thriller. Of people being kidnapped and stuff to that effect. And for the women, there definitely is a romance portion of it as well. So, if your girlfriend doesn't like horror but likes sharks and likes a little romance, she might like this. All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to give me that like, give me that thumbs up if you can. Share this video out there. And if you can, support the channel by clicking the bell ding ding and being a subscriber. That would be great as well. Also, remember too to go to Amazon or help me support Fairy Tales of Terror by jumping in there and getting notified about when that goes as well. Remember too that the QR code is here, or it is linked in the description below. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys on the next episode.